Today on my radio program, because I'm taking radio off tomorrow, I did something on Good Friday and the crucifixion of Jesus. And every year I do it on my radio show, and people will always call me and they'll say, gee, how come you didn't talk about Easter? Well, because Good Friday is Good Friday, and I know it's Thursday, but that's what happened on Good Friday. And everybody concentrates on Easter. The miracle of what happened on Easter truly changed my life. But tonight, may I just spend a couple of seconds with you here and talk about what's happening in our world and where we are as individuals. You know, we started the week with, we're not a Christian nation, you know. And then the complaining of people saying the president hadn't been to church in 11 weeks, and then, you know, he's having a Seder tonight, and is he going to go to church on Sunday? Just, can we stop? Can we stop arguing about religion and just realize that we need faith in our life? I don't care what church you go to. We need faith in our life. We need to understand that we can make mistakes, that we can be horrible people, and we can completely be washed clean. We need to understand redemption. Good Friday for Christians is the day that the Lord was crucified, killed, and nailed to a tree. Mel Gibson made a movie on this, and it was pretty horrifying. For Passover, it was the angel of death that came, passed over people's houses. I mean, when you're sitting there and you've got like frogs and locusts, I mean, I think your life sucks more than 8.5% unemployment. You know, you're like, oh, geez, now we got frogs? You got to be kidding. I got to have blood on my doorway? What? I want to just put this in perspective here for just a second. Let me share the story of two faiths. Before Moses was Moses, look what happened to him. Watch this from Cecil B. DeMille.
His tortured mind, wondering if they call the memory of past triumphs, or wail foreboding of disasters yet to come, or whether the desert's hot breath has melted his reason into madness. He cannot cool the burning kiss of thirst upon his lips, nor shade the scorching fury of the sun. All about is desolation. He can neither bless nor curse the power that moves him, for he does not know from where it comes. Learning that it can be more terrible to live than to die, he is driven onward through the burning crucible of desert, where holy men and prophets are cleansed and purged for God's great purpose. Until at last, at the end of human strength, beaten into the dust from which he came, the metal is ready for the Maker's hand.
I love that. Beaten into the dust from which he came, the metal was ready for the Maker's hand. Before Jesus was Jesus, this is what happened. I have to tell you, the suffering that these men both went through, the suffering. Moses and Jesus didn't want the struggle. I mean, Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he said, please, please don't make me do this. But they had to. They knew that. But it was their choice. And so they went through it. They were cleansed and purged, and they were shaped by the Maker's hand. I think what's happening in our country is this story. I think it's happening to so many of us right now. We focused on our stuff and our wealth for too long, and that focus needs to be cleansed and purged. The struggle of Moses, the struggle of Jesus. If anybody says to you, I don't know why God's testing me like this, he ain't testing you. He's not testing you. He's preparing for you. He's preparing. Do you notice Cecil B. DeMille said in there? He said, what was it? He said, didn't know who was the cause of his blessing or his curse. We look at things as a curse. It's a blessing If you get to see the end of the movement, if you see the end, if you see the movie and you're like, oh my gosh, these events preceded great and powerful miracles. Our struggles will come. Some of us are struggling right now. There is no doubt of that. But if we realize that our struggles are just precursors to great and powerful miracles, and I'm telling you, powerful miracles. Keep a journal every night. Write down what is happening in your life. Write down what's happening in this country, because great miracles are around the corner. And we just need to accept that we need to be shaped and beaten back into the dust from which we came. We prepare. We look at that. Boy, I tell you, that's where hope comes from, because our future is bright, but our future is only as bright as our faith. Happy Passover and happy Easter.